And after a pretty crazy preseason, one preseason game, and about 500 different breaking news events, we finally played regular season basketball, and the Valkyries win. They're 1-0, 91 to 80 over the Seattle Storm. I am joined by Nathan Canilao, the Bay Area News Group, Jane Kenny of San Francisco Standard, Kenzo Fukuda of ClutchPoints, and Marisa Ingemi of Valkyries Beat. We'll start with one of the two people who were actually there in the building in Seattle. Marisa, what do you take away from this game?
I'm not sure they know like who they are yet, which kind of makes sense because they just found out like this week they're not going to have Ileana Repair. So, the Kia Stokes as a starter experiment was quite interesting. Like they're trying to go five out, but at the same time, like Stokes obviously isn't that kind of a player. So that's interesting. Then obviously Tiffany Hayes, Cecilia Zandalasini get hurt. It sounds like it's not a big deal based on the way Natalie was talking about it, but like who actually knows? One stat that I take away from, sorry, I'm rambling. One stat I take away from this is last year they scored over 90 points in just 4 games, and they come in tonight and score 91 points without some of their best offensive players. So it seems like they're going to be able to score a little more effectively. But yeah, I think I still have a lot of questions about like who their scorer is going to be. Can their defense play a full game? Who's on the team? Who is playing in games? What's the rotation? Just like normal stuff like that.
Jane, you are the resident Seattleite. You got to watch your hometown team lose. And now I want to ask you, what did you make of Gabby Williams's Valkyrie's debut?
Yeah, I mean, not gonna lie, it was underwhelming. We didn't, we saw them maybe want to run the offense through her at first, but it was really a struggle in that early first quarter. I think everyone was just kind of settling in, nerves a little bit rattled. So it was underwhelming in production. But there's a lot of potential there. We saw, Janelle Salaun sneakily take over. And I'm sure it'll just kind of take the weeks through practice. I mean, she's only been here for like a week or so, and so kind of gelling with the crew and without Ileana Ruper was someone who she was anchored to, had played with before, so kind of seeing her function in a completely new system. Definitely wasn't the most like dazzling debut, but she definitely felt the love from Seattle fans, and it was a great atmosphere.
Someone who did have a dazzling season debut was Kaitlyn Chen, who scored, I think it was 14 points today off the bench. Nathan, is this the second year in a row we're going to get a Valkyries point guard win Most Improved Player? Is that too much for a hype early on?
It might be, but I will say Caitlyn played really well. I thought she was kind of, they already kind of built a lead in the third quarter, but I think she was the one that kind of put everything on top and really made the Valkyries run away with that game. She had no turnovers, career high 14 points. I thought she just really played a complete game, and I mean, if this is the Caitlyn Chen you can expect to get, I mean, I don't know if this is, yeah, I don't know if we could expect to get this per se. But if you could get, 80% of this, just a solid point guard who can score and is at least a threat offensively and just kind of a solid defender, smart, heady defender, I think Caitlin can have a big role on this team, especially because, obviously we know there's not a lot of point guard depth. And with Tiffany Hayes, we don't really know what's going on there. Like she might be the second guard on the team. I mean, true point guard on the team. So, yeah. Really liked what I saw from Caitlin tonight.
And Kenzo in the pregame, it sounded like Natalie dressed Kate Martin, who they cut. I think it was yesterday. What can you tell us about that? Did it sound like she's coming back?
It did sound a little bit like a eulogy for Kate Martin in the pregame. Natalie was pretty solemn about what she said about Kate. Said it was really heart aching, I think is the word she used. I think it's going to be a little tough for them to get over that, just because of how big Kate was in that locker room. Like she was beloved in that locker room. She's kind of the glue that kept everything together. And we don't see how that works exactly on the court, but that's a big thing in team chemistry settings. So she said, I think the quote that she had was, "It's tough, but," I'm paraphrasing here. "It's tough, but we're trying to just build the best team possible, and there's just some tough decisions that have to be made." So yeah, it's a little sad. She also addressed Ileana Ruper's pregnancy. She said the team's very happy for Illy. Tip Hayes is talking to Illy's stomach, apparently, talking to the baby that may or may not, exist yet. So, yeah, I think the team's very happy for Illy, but she acknowledged like they're going to have to tailor the offense to the center they do have. So I think you saw a little bit of that tonight. Kia Stokes is, they're trying her out as like this post player who can distribute the ball. I don't know if it was the most successful, but we did see it. Letitia Meher look really good in that 5-out offense, which I thought was when the Valkyries looked the most flexible
Yeah.
offensively. She was able to, they were able to play that 5-out spread offense that they really like. I think towards the end of that second quarter, which is when they made their run. So yeah, it's a lot happened today. We got a lot of content out of it, but overall, I think ending on this win is probably the best thing that could have happened for the Valkyries tonight.
And then just to kind of open it up for discussion, to Marissa or Jane, what was something that you noticed in person that maybe we didn't see on TV? Because me, Nathan, and Kenzo are watching it from TV. You guys are obviously in Seattle.
They muffled the sound.
Sorry, you guys are obviously in Seattle and we're watching on TV. So, what's something that you could notice that maybe we couldn't?
Well, I'll
Um,
just, oh, go ahead.
Jane, you go ahead. This is your
Well, I'll
city.
just start with kind of our pregame conversations with Gabby and Veronica talking about how you can use small ball to your advantage and how they're excited to kind of push the pace and be able to show defenses a completely different style of offense, being around the perimeter like that and kind of using that to their advantage. So we'll kind of see how that translates. But I thought that was interesting. And just kind of, using their energy and just tactically recovering for the lack of height and depth at a center position. So that was one of my takeaways.
Yeah, kind of similar. Like they definitely are aware of the kind of team they are. I think it was Gabby who said before the game, like, well, we're not a better team not having Ileana Repair available. But they're just going to kind of adjust. I talked to Ceci about it a little bit too, and then she got hurt tonight, but she was really excited to like get involved a little bit more in just kind of like deflections and causing some trouble on defense. So that perspective was interesting to hear. And then, yeah, I mean, we were talking a little bit before just like the pregame press conference of like, how was Natalie going to address the Kate Martin stuff and Ileana stuff? And I thought she was a little more open and a little more emotional than I expected she would be, like
Mhm.
presenting to us. So I thought that was just kind of interesting. I kind of was going in like, oh my God, how do we ask her about this? And then she just was pretty upfront, which I thought was interesting to get a level of transparency. So that those are some takeaways. And then just like on the court, um, I thought it was just like watching this team try to play. I mean, I mentioned it earlier, but try to play 5-out offense with Kia Stokes was so fascinating to watch. And I really want to know how that's going to work out. Natalie said that the players seemed kind of a little bit like I she didn't say deer in the headlights, but she kind of like motioned like that a little bit, I guess.
Mhm.
Just like looking around, trying to figure things out early, had some nerves. I thought that was kind of a little bit noticeable earlier on, and they settled down. I guess that's not too surprising, but given the circumstances, like I think Valkyries fans have to feel like pretty positive about tonight.
Did Natalie have any update on Tip Hayes or Chechi at all post game?
Yeah, she didn't seem that concerned. She said they were like celebrating Gabby when I asked like, is there any status update on Tip or Chechi? And she's like, oh, they're like celebrating Gabby. And she said that Chechi got hit in the face and that Tip jammed her pinky. And the way she framed it, it didn't sound like significant, but who actually knows? We'll find out on the injury report this weekend, I guess.
Yeah, wasn't it last year that Natalie's like, oh, it's all the couple times where she was like, oh, it's all good, everything's fine, and then it turns out they're gonna be out for like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, Kayla Thornton was resting and she tore her meniscus. So like
Yeah,
That's why
they've
Natalie always
understood.
says I'm not the doctor.
Yeah, they've undersold these injuries before, but like they didn't seem like they weren't like oh no about it. So who knows?
all right. And Kenzo and Nathan, you got any takeaways from this game
Yeah,
further?
yeah. No, I just on the small ball part of it, and one thing I just noticed, especially during that end of the second quarter when Letitia was in there, and even in like kind of late in the third when they're pulling away, they had a lot of pick and rolls, but it was a lot of guard to guard. I mean, essentially it's guard to guard. I mean, I saw a lot of like Veronica, Janelle pick and pop, pick and rolls. I think that would be interesting to see how that works against a better team like Phoenix on Sunday, knowing like someone like Alyssa Thomas, who's a little more switchable, could be, could switch on and they have a little bit more obviously defensive identity than, what Seattle has right now. So I think that'd be interesting to quote the great Mike Hansen at Doherty Valley High School. When it comes to small ball lineups, they got to guard us too. So that would be interesting to see on Sunday how the small ball works against, I think, a much more superior team in Phoenix.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think Seattle looked a little bit like a team kind of just thrown together, which they kind of are. Like I don't think the chemistry is all the way there yet, and they have a lot of talent on that roster. So I think that's going to take Seattle a lot of time to figure out. What I'm interested in is the starting lineups because the starters did not look good to open the game offensively. I think they started 1 of 7, and it looked really, really clunky. And then Ceci checks in, Janelle Salaun checks in, Amir checks in, and all of them go off. So I'm wondering, I think I mentioned this in the other pod, but I'm wondering how much Natalie is tinkering with these starting lineups on a game-to-game basis. I think after a game like this, there's no way you can't be starting Janelle. Like
Yeah.
she was the offensive engine, and she was the only person that could really get her own until Veronica kind of got going there in that second. But I am interested to see what Natalie does with that because I didn't like before Tip's injury, I wasn't very impressed with what she was doing. I thought it was a lot of just dribbling into nowhere and chucking the ball out. So I do wonder like, is she considering starting Janelle over Tip and going bigger? Is Kyle Charles had a great game. Like that's another starting option.
Plus
I kind of
18
wanted,
kind of goes a little
yeah,
unnoticed.
yeah. Kyla was great. Like her defense was unbelievable, and when she's scoring, like that team is hard to stop. So I kind of think there are better options on that bench to take over what Tip's spot. I don't think that's a safe starting spot at all.
Yeah,
And
I
then
agree. I definitely could see them slotting in Janelle there for sure, but I'm curious if they would go a different route than Kia Stokes.
That's another
I
one.
mean, what? I mean, I kind of when I saw Janelle was on the bench tonight, I kind of assumed like, oh, are they going to bring her in to be a small five? And then that's not how they used her. So it's like, I don't know if Kia's just in that spot because I'm not sure they're going to start LA. She's not a natural center, so I still wonder if there's another move to be made to bring a center in because I don't. They just don't have the depth there. Even if they do want to play small ball, like it's still not enough. I don't think, especially against like a team like Phoenix or Atlanta or these much bigger teams.
Yeah, on
And
that point, Marissa, like I wrote about this a little bit, like how they're basically platooning Kia and Letitia from what I saw. Like it's a
yeah,
lot of like Kia for 4 minutes, we'll bring in LA for two, and then we'll whoever kind of looked a little bit better, they kind of just went with that to close the quarter. So
yeah.
I'm curious. I mean, yeah, like I'm curious to see what they do with that. If like KT, I think KT spotted a couple minutes tonight. I can't remember exactly, but like, yeah, can they do something like that? Or, when they do go small, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they handle like the center minutes going forward.
To that point, they used the replacement contract today. They signed Jackalenga to that replacement contract, and she's not exactly a center. She's 6'2", and she looked bigger in those garbage minutes towards the end, like bigger than I thought. But she's not exactly a center, so I don't know if like that's a permanent option with that replacement contract. If they're gonna find another center in trade on the market or whatever, or make a trade. But right now, it seems like it's Kia Stokes, LA, just swap back and forth whoever has the hot hand, we're going to ride them for a while. So it's very very interesting to see how that's going to shake out. I really liked how Mihir played, and you can see why they kept her over Martin. Like she is much needed on this team right now.
Yeah, no, like just real quick on the Amir point, I tweeted this out, but like they could go. I mean, when you have Amir on the floor, she can't handle the ball. So a couple times, she grabs the rebound and she's the one pushing ahead,
Yeah.
and that's a different level of. I don't think we've really saw that last year, but that's like a
Mhm.
different level of offense they can unlock with Amir at the five. And yeah, she was a little gun shy with the three today. I know she pump faked like one or two of those open threes at the top of the key, but she like used it to go to the rim, and you could see her take advantage of some of the like the slower footed Seattle defenders. So that's super interesting too going forward
And she punished guards. She punished Heidemann whenever Heidemann was somehow switched on to her. Both centers did, which I thought was effective.
for
Mhm.
sure.
I wonder if Don Staley watched today's game or not.
Oh, jeez.
RAP Matt
Anyways,
Lively's
Man.
Twitter.
anyways,
Wow. If
one
you
other
know,
thing
you
I'd like to,
know.
yeah, exactly. I guess looking ahead real quick, what are you guys looking for when they play their home opener against Phoenix on Sunday, which will be a busy day for me and Kenzo because the Warriors also have the draft lottery
Yeah.
like 3 hours before. So be
God.
fun. But anyways, what are you guys looking forward to for that?
They had a hard time with Phoenix last year, so I'm really interested in how they match up against them this year. And then also, like, it's unavoidable that Marta Suarez is going to be in town, and also Kiara Linskins, and not Chloe Bibby anymore. It looked like for a minute that was going to be like a whole reunion situation. But yeah, I'm interested how they match up and they play against AT and Dewana Bonner because those two gave them all sorts of fits last year.
Yeah, on that point, like I really am interested to see how. I mean, Nate Tibbetts really schemed him up last year. Like, if we're being honest, like
Yeah.
he really knew how to defend and scheme up a defense that could stop the Valkyries. And with Alyssa, like you said, Marissa, like with Alyssa Thomas, I'm curious to see how the lack of a center is gonna play out. A true, at least a true center is really gonna play out against someone like Alyssa Thomas. And then, yeah, of course, it's gonna be really interesting to see Marta. Really awkward, like she was literally in this building what a week ago. Yeah, so
A lot of cheers for her too from the crowd. They loved
so
her.
yeah, so that will be what I'm watching out for. But I think the Seattle win could really push them ahead for Sunday.
And on that note, with Marta, are other teams using their development slot players similar to how the Valkyries use them tonight? I kind of thought maybe Mila would be put into a game and get a little bit more usage because they were down players, and I was surprised to see her come in, with a lead like that with 2 minutes left. Um, I don't know how it's going to be different around the league and how Natalie's going to, make that decision, but I'm curious to see if Marta will get action.
Yeah, from what I understand,
Just
or like from what if I gathered what Natalie said correct, like they had to activate her 60 minutes before, so she was
yeah.
already activated before the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
So if
like
she didn't play, it would have counted against her.
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I asked her like directly, like, how does that work? And she was like, what, you guys don't know? And I was wanted to be like, they won't give us a CBA, man.
We
Like,
should
what are we
tell her
supposed to
that.
do?
Like she should know
That's
that they have
why
no
I'm here. It's
plan.
like, I gotta ask you. Like, that's
Can
why
she
we're
slip us
here.
the CBA? Can she send us the
Which
PDF file?
like I looked
Natalie,
on
leak it. Email me.
I looked online. They got the 2020 CBA, on their website, so it's not like they have a history of hiding the CBA. They just need to update it. I don't know
It's
who.
so annoying because like the research we try to do on the CBA is already limited, and then because that other CBA is out in the wild, AI and Google and everything just pops up those things first. So we think we have the answer, and it's the other CBA. It's all out of date. That's my rant on the CBA. What am I looking for on Sunday? Um, if you thought Kaitlyn Chen was good tonight, imagine her hitting those shots in Valhalla. Because last year when she got a rebound or an assist, it was really freaking loud. So if she gets going, it's gonna be pretty loud. That's one thing I'm looking for. And I do want to see them play more Ceci and Salaun if Ceci's healthy, because I thought that was their best offensive duo in that second quarter. Like it was the only thing that was working for a while there.
Yeah, I
All
thought
right.
Ceci looked really solid. Unfortunate that she went down. I'll also be curious to count how many Kate Martin jerseys I see around Valhalla because that was like their most sold jersey. And
Third most in the league.
yes.
you guys
Man.
gotta hit up Ross because that's where those jerseys will be.
They're gonna
Ross
be
and
at
TJ
the thrift
Maxx.
store now.
Do they let them trade them in for the new jerseys? Is that possible?
That'd be really nice, but I don't know if a team that's what do they value
Billion
850
dollars? There's a
billion
reason they're
dollar?
valued at a billion
Yeah,
dollars.
I don't know if
You're gonna
they're
trade in for the Moenentanda jerseys.
Yeah.
exactly.
All right. So my favorite ritual from these is where can we read your stuff, Marissa? Where can we find you?
ValkyriesBeat.com. I'll have stuff up pretty soon about the game today and got some interviews today. We'll have a lot of content for you throughout the week.
And also the podcast. Tell us more about that, which is, I guess, it's just this, right? But podcast form.
Like what we're doing right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, Courtside
exactly. I was like, wait
Valkyries
a minute.
If you
report.
made it this far in the video.
Wait,
Yeah,
this is
if
a
you made,
podcast? That's what we're
yes.
We're
doing?
doing
Hi, Spotify.
Wednesdays, I think. Yeah, on Spotify. I'm trying to get it on Apple Music or whatever it is. People keep asking me. I'm working on learning how to do that. I'm 30. I don't know how to use technology. But yeah, we'll be doing this a lot allegedly.
Yes. Kenzo, where can we read your stuff?
ClutchPoints. You find me on Twitter. Gonna have some Warriors stuff this weekend with the lottery, but all in on Valkyries. have a piece up on Natalie's pregame presser. Yeah, keep following us for more.
Jane?
You can read me at the San Francisco Standard. I'll have a piece up tomorrow from the game.
Awesome. And Nathan, where can we read, I guess, our stuff? Because we are
Stay the
coworkers.
line.
Yeah, you can read us at the San Jose Mercury News or the East Bay Times, and you can read us there. And on that topic, Marissa, I have had people be like, "Why don't you join TikTok?" And I'm like, "Dude, I got two kids. I don't got time for that."
I am
I can't
trying to
figure out
do
TikTok.
TikTok to mix results. It's funny because like I did one TikTok where I just asked Gabby Williams about her cat and it got like 15,000 views. And then I just did like, oh, here was like a regular press conference and it got 800. And I was like, I don't know how to do this
Easter
actually. So
fan.
I'm just too old. I'm just too old for it. I can't figure it out. And
you're
I don't
younger
want
than I
to.
am. I don't want to hear that. I'm the oldest one here.
Yeah, but
Uh,
I'm an old 25. Like you got to add add like 3 years on my end.
Okay.
All right. And with that, that was the first episode of the regular season. Look forward to seeing you guys after, I guess, most games.